Hello. So Iran reacts to the US's strikes on the south of Iran, just off of the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump is going to decide on what his next steps are as well. Let's have a look at Fox News, see what they say. Plus things like this as well, like
Out of
the
the
way
Middle East,
Fox
where
News
today
brings this
President
up,
Trump will
like
hold
they're
a
playing a
cabinet meeting
game
at
or
the White House
something.
to decide the next steps in
Disturbing.
negotiations with Iran. It comes as the regime condemns Monday's strikes against the country as a show of bad faith, while the U.S. military says those strikes were defensive. Joining us now.
Well, I don't know what's defensive about it. Were they being attacked? I'm pretty sure they were negotiating. So Donald Trump just decided, yeah, I'm just gonna bomb some shit.
National security policy analyst Andrew Harding. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. So the president is convening this cabinet meeting later today to talk about the Iran war and next steps. What do you think will come of this meeting?
Well, good morning, Carly. I expect President Trump will make very clear to the cabinet just how successful his peace through strength approach has been on Iran and how it's delivering results. We've seen the success of Operation Epic Fury in degrading Iran's military, economic fury in crippling the Iranian economy, and what you could call diplomatic fury in ensuring that Iran is finally coming to the table with meaningful proposals while the U.S. coordinates with its allies and partners. Combined, this is maximizing American leverage to ensure that Iran is unable to get a nuclear weapon. So I think the president will be able to align.
You know what? The more this war goes on, the more I'm realizing that has absolutely nothing to do with nuclear whatsoever. Nothing to do with that whatsoever.
The administration and his cabinet on what the next steps will be like. And this is not preferable when the administration is talking about specific details on what an agreement would look like, rather than Iran sending such horrible counterproposals in which the president throws them out after reading the first sentence.
Yeah, because you're probably struggling to read them. But no, but let's be real. He's only doing this just so that people ain't talking about the Epstein files. Release the fucking files and let's get your paedophilic ass in jail, where you belong.
So I think this will ensure that the cabinet officials are fully aligned on what the president is doing to ensure that Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon and that American security interests are protected.
What do you make of Iran laying mines as these heightened negotiations continue?
Well, I think it's a foolish move in which they're playing with fire. And if they get too dangerous, President Trump may return fire. I think President Trump has been very patient with Iran and has made very clear that he wants to pursue diplomacy and is willing to see it through as long as possible. But the president has also made clear that the United States will only accept a good deal and they're willing to.
Well, you can tell he goes up Trump's ass every now and then. Cherry blossom.
Walk away from a deal if it doesn't advance that. And instead, the president continues to ensure that the U.S. military is ready to respond at a moment's notice. And that's the correct approach to maximize American leverage here. So Iran needs to be careful unless it's going to risk having President Trump move back from diplomacy.
No, Iran is playing the long game. They know exactly what they're doing. They got all the time in the world. Trump don't. Trump needs to do something now because his approval ratings are plummeting really, really bad. And he needs to pull off something in this war because what did he promise before he got back into the presidency? He said no more forever wars. No more. He said no more wars. Well, he was president. He didn't get his Nobel Peace Prize and he's now going to get brought up in the Epstein files. Now suddenly there are wars.
And take military action to ensure that Iran cannot threaten American interests.
So Iran report.
Iran are not threatening any of America's interests. They're more involved with Israel at the moment.
Reportedly wants $24 billion in frozen funds to be released as part of any deal with the U.S. The obvious concern there would be that that would not go to the Iranian economy. That would go directly into supporting terror proxies. Should releasing frozen funds be part of any eventual deal?
Well, any type of deal is going to come down to if Iran is willing to give up the enriched uranium that poses the greatest threat to American national security. The president has rightly ensured that the top priority of this entire operation with Iran is to prevent it from getting a nuclear weapon. If Iran is able to do this, then everything comes down to conditionality, in which, as we know with Iran, it's very difficult to trust this regime, and they have a horrible track record with following through.
I can't trust Trump's either. They're both as bad as each other. Let's be real, yeah. The Iranian regime isn't exactly like a Disney cartoon with bright colours and flowers and stuff like that, you know, they're just as bad and extremist as well. But so is Trump, and his regime are just as bad and extreme as well. They have no consideration for human life whatsoever on either side, you know, and don't even get me started on Israel.
So the president, rightly, while pursuing a deal, is not going to just trust Iran, but rather he's going to verify with every single step and action that Iran follows through. So only at that point can we really consider what concessions or willingness the U.S. can work with Iran. First and foremost, Iran has to be willing to work on the nuclear enrichment issue and ensure that it does not pursue a nuclear weapon.
I want to bring up this Fox News digital piece right now that says Iran Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei would have to approve any final deal with the U.S. through secret courier networks, while remaining in hiding as a, quote, designated target. The unprecedented arrangement, they claimed, means Washington is negotiating a high-stakes accord with an entirely invisible counterparty. There has been this push and pull between the IRGC and other members of the Iranian government over what to do, what decisions to make. What about this when it comes to a final negotiation and closing these terms when we don't even know who we are really negotiating with?
How do we even know what they're even talking about? Who's saying what and how, where?
Well, I believe President Trump is confident that he's negotiating, whether it's with the leader through different envoys that are bringing information in, or through different, let's say, the Speaker of the Parliament or other individuals in Iran,
I don't trust
that
a single
whoever is
thing
working
that
with the
Trump
president
says.
does have authorities to indicate what Iran is willing to do. Now, you're right, there is an ongoing battle with the IRGC and the different leaders in Iran, so it's very much something to monitor. And again, it's why we can't just trust Iran. We have to make sure that anything they commit to in writing or verbally or whatever it may be is verified through actions that the U.S. can enforce. So I think the president is confident that he's working with some people in Iran to get a deal across the line, but until actions are verified, the words are going to be very little.
And we'll be monitoring that cabinet meeting that's set to take place later today at the White House and see what comes of that. Andrew Harding, thank you so much for joining us, for your time and your expertise. As always, we appreciate it. Have a great morning.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this is what else is happening. To reopen the Strait of Hormuz if they establish normalized relations with Israel. Oh. And it says here, let me move this up. It says there, a conference call took place between the US president and influential Middle Eastern leaders, including those from Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Turkey, oh, missed that last bit. Turkey and Egypt on Saturday to discuss the reopening of the critical oil passageway. It has been reported that Trump urged the leaders to normalize their ties with Israel. Well, Israel needs to calm the fuck down. The statement left Arab leaders stunned into silence, declaring to respond to the US president, according to Axios. Trump then quipped following the lengthy pause. Are they still here? He subsequently continued revaluing that his envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff would pursue Israel normalization discussions in
Straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other, so they need to be open.
Following a dramatic weekend call, peace negotiations between the US and Iran hit a standstill on Monday.
What's happening there is unlawful, it's illegal, it's unsustainable for the world, it's unacceptable. I don't know of any country in the world.
Owing to disputes over Tehran's uranium stockpile and the unfreezing of Iranian assets, according to the Wall Street Journal.
The Russians are not in favor of a tolling system. The Chinese are not in favor of a tolling system. I mean, there's no country in the world that's in favor of a tolling system except the regime in Iran. So that's not acceptable. That cannot happen. The straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls. And obviously that needs to happen immediately as soon as anything's agreed to.
As negotiations continue, Trump shared a fresh threat on his Truth Social platform, depicting himself on the phone bargaining with a cartoon terrorist, cautioning that he will blow shit up. Yeah, because that's sensible, isn't it, Trump? Like, I'm gonna blow some shit up. The US president had earlier posted that the agreement would either be a great deal for all or there will be no deal at all. In the extensive statement, Trump had asserted negotiations with Iran are proceeding nicely, but he wants to bomb them. And he has on the south of Iran. Cautioned that should an agreement prove elusive, US forces would return back to the battlefront bigger and stronger than ever. He said that recently, the other day. Yeah. So we'll leave it there. It's not looking like it's going to be sorted anytime soon. I think this war is going to last into the years rather than months, and it's not going to be any better. I reckon. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me actually if this war lasts up until Trump's last day in office. You know. I reckon it's going to last that long. I don't think Iran have all the time in the world to wait this war out. Trump doesn't, and Trump's fucked as soon as he leaves the White House because he's going to jail for the Epstein files. He can't be touched at the moment because he's got immunity at the moment because he's president of the United States, so he can't be arrested for anything or hardly anything. So once he's out of the office, once we get those files out finally and there's someone else in power, hopefully not as bad as him, hopefully not JD Vance, but someone better and who's got a more sensible head on their head, and then we can finally work on getting peace in the world. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like and subscribe. I'm going to try and post a couple more today, and take care of yourselves till then. Bye.